Hey everybody, welcome back to The Boy in the Beard, episode number 8.
Yeah, number 8 already. Time
This
flies.
this is an exciting one. I'm super stoked
I'm extremely stoked.
to have our next guest, all the way from California, actor, gamer,
Streamer.
streamer, extraordinaire,
Famous Instagram influencer.
Mr. Atticus Shaffer joins us. Atticus, I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to talk to you, and for you to take the time out of your Saturday to jump on with us and indulge us in a little bit of conversation about you and what you like.
You guys, this is such a blast for me. I'm so thankful that I get to be on the show, get to help out you guys grow this awesome series that you guys have going, and you guys are helping me out too. So
Oh,
this is going to be
excellent.
great. Thank you
Yeah, no,
guys.
we're super excited.
Super excited. I mean, we can't understate how excited we are for this.
So my wife and I predominantly know you as an actor from the middle, and I know
For sure.
you're more than that character. And I say we're a super fan in the sense that we watch it nightly.
He's not
And-
exaggerating,
Nice.
by the way.
And it's background, like when I'm sitting on the couch doing some work, or when my wife's cooking, it's there in the background. And we bought the DVDs because once it left Netflix, I believe, before it got on HBO,
Couldn't stream
Yeah.
it.
we were like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? So we literally went out and bought all 9 seasons on DVD.
Nice.
I was there for this conversation where my aunt, his wife, was like, whoa, we can't watch the middle anymore. And me, I'm a casual fan. Like, I've seen probably 30 episodes in total, and I love it. I think it's
For
funny,
sure.
but I haven't sat down to watch it start to finish. Like, they've probably seen it
Sure.
8 times all the way through.
Yeah.
And the first time I visited them out here in South Carolina actually was the first time I saw the middle, and that was like 2014,
Right.
2015.
It's probably the most underrated sitcom in the history of sitcoms, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And when you do, we're so excited to have you that we've asked maybe 10 people, have you guys seen the middle? And 9 out of 10, no, I have not. I'm like, what are you guys talking
Really?
about? This show, there's no
Huge subreddit, by the way.
no laugh track, which is a positive plus anyway. And then
Right.
the humor, the writing was fantastic. The acting, I can't even begin. Everybody was hilarious. The
Yeah.
small innuendos and the small little undercuts, or how the storyline progresses and it continues to run. The blue bags. I mean, how many times has she forgot the blue bag? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I got to ask, before you get
Yes.
into the nitty gritty, because you know a lot more than me, how much do you personally resonate with Brick as a character?
That's an excellent question. You're already bringing up fantastic points, and what I love is the fact that you're giving us acknowledgement, and this is something that I always talk about. Well, excuse me, I couldn't always talk about. Now I can post the show's completion, but it's unfortunate because the way that a lot of networks work, this is just simply how they function, is you get your run of pilots for pilot season, and they'll go through all of the scripts and they say, okay, we're going to put the money into this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then they make them. And then once they have those pilots, they'll take maybe 4 of them and then they actually make them into a season. So, I mean, from the very beginning, our show had to fight. And we were very much needing to make ourselves known and stand on our own 2 feet. A lot of people don't know that, and this is going to be a really long answer just
I'm
to
ready
get to
for
the
it, I'm
answer of
ready
that
for it.
question. But you already set me off on a tangent in my mind.
Which is perfect.
That yeah, right. This is what these types of talks are supposed to be. No, but it is. It's one of those things where a lot of people don't know that there was a pilot that was made previous to the pilot that you guys all know and love. So completely different cast, except for little old me. I was the only character to be brought back. Original Frankie was Ricky Lake. Original Mike was Lex Medlin. Sue was this young actress from Ontario, Canada. So, I mean, it was definitely a completely different animal than what it ended up becoming. But it was amazing for me because right from the get-go, right in that very first audition for the show, it was a character that I didn't actually have to think too much on simply because I could understand the character, even in what they gave me and as what little that they gave me in the initial audition. So it ended up becoming this beautiful, comfortable character to play. And as it developed all the way clear through season 1, I fell in love with him more and more, and I was able to put more and more into him. The baseline silhouette of the character is loosely based on Eileen Heisler's son, and Eileen Heisler is one of the two creators of the show.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Apologies, baby chick in
No
the
worries.
It's
background.
all right.
Yeah.
Hashtag country life.
Yeah, it happens.
But yeah, no. So Justin is Eileen Heisler's son. He was the silhouette of Brick, but then I came in and working with the directors and the other writers. Shush. Really filled in the character, and he came to life after the very first episode.
That must be why you're not super opposed to talking about Brick. I have to say personally, I resonate at least slightly with the character. He has that kind of whisper tick situation. I actually have mild Tourette syndrome. I was diagnosed when I
For
was about
sure.
7 years old, so I don't have too many vocal tics, but my face and eyebrows twitch a lot, and I've had some uncomfortable instances with strangers who didn't quite understand what was happening or what it was. But
Right.
to see that kind of portrayed mainstream, especially on an ABC sitcom, it's really comforting for someone like me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So did you have
Absolutely.
anything you wanna
I
ask?
did. So the dancing that Brick did, is that all you? Like when you were the bookmarks
Yes, it
and
is.
all that? Yeah.
I forget what it was, but there was it was in season 1, and I think it was some sort of dancing show. My mom and I love reality TV
Yeah.
for a particular period of time, so we were watching Bravo and A&E and all that stuff. And there was some competition show that was about dancing, and there was this particular group that did this pop and lock dance, and I started doing it on a flip cam behind the scenes video
Yep.
that ABC had me make while on set.
That's
And
hilarious.
the writers saw it and they were like, "Can you do that? Can we have that be a Brick thing?" And I was like, "Sure,
Yeah.
incorporate it." And then we did right off the
That's
bat.
hilarious.
So,
So favorite
yeah.
favorite episode to film?
Ooh, favorite episode to film. Now, I'm saying this simply because it's like watching any movie, saga, TV series, whatever. When you get to this wonderful climactic finish, it's so pleasurable all the way around.
I can
I
imagine.
have to say, the last episode, which was actually 2 episodes that we put into one, I would have to say is my absolute favorite that we filmed.
I gotcha.
Simply because there were so many emotional moments as we were going through filming,
Yeah.
and the whole thing. See, so this is funny. This is something that a lot of people don't know, but I always say that the show broke up with me via text. There was apparently some meeting that was held that I was not privy to, where everybody decided, "Oh, we're going to end the show."
Wow.
And I literally we had to do every year at the beginning of a season and at the end of the season we do these publicity runs. So we were invited. I forget the name of the interview like panel that we did, but we were going to do this big panel, and it was all the ABC shows kind of coming together and having almost like a mini Comic Con, but
Right.
interview panels. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And the day of, I get a text. I get roped into this group text with myself and then the 2 creators of the show and the other 4 actors. And one of the creators of the show is like, "Okay, guys, so remember when we go to the panel today, there's probably going to be a lot of questions about why we decided to end the show. And just remember, it's everything that we discussed at the meeting."
And you're like, wait a minute.
And then there's me.
Yeah.
Okay, what meeting is this?
Holy
Also,
cow.
we're ending the show? Question mark.
Do you?
And then they were like, "Oh yeah, didn't you know?"
And now do you think that's attributed to your age because you were one of the younger cast members?
I would have if I was a teenager, but I was like 19
That's
at
true.
the
Yeah.
time, you know.
Yeah. So
Like,
So I have to
like,
ask,
bro.
not to cut you off. Yeah, for real.
No, you're fine.
That's a bro moment. Is there a part of you? Obviously, if you really love shooting the show, you'd love it to last forever. But I stand this way, say on something like Rick and Morty, where I'm hoping they ended on like
Yes.
season 7 or something, as opposed to running it for 15 and just running it into the ground. And you have those
Right.
shows where people say, yeah, the first 5 seasons were great. They didn't close any character arcs, and the last 5 seasons were garbage.
Right.
The end on a high note thing. Do you kind of see that as a blessing in disguise these days? Were you distraught when it first happened?
Yes, that's such a good point because so few shows can be The Simpsons where you can just have
Oh,
a
yeah.
baby be a baby for 30 years, right?
Mhm.
So when you look at our show, it definitely needed an ending. However, because it's a show that was drawn on real life, I was an advocate of continuing to keep making the project, but I didn't want it to go, like you said, for 15
Yeah.
seasons. I thought that we could go to season 10. Because
Okay.
if we went to season 10, having a show run for 10 years,
It's a nice
I don't
even
know what to
number.
say. It's like one of those, yeah, it's a milestone. And it's something that I think is it would have only added to the history that we made in the project.
Hmm.
And then drawing from real life, there's so many different things that we could have seen occur, and we could have also done things where, if we wanted to, we could have had season 10 skip time,
Oh
where
yeah.
we would have been able to see things and
Yep.
see the kids grow up, or how do they develop, or whatever. Have it be where the first half of the season is in modern day and then go into the future.
Right.
They sort of did that in the last episode, though, and that was a way of tying things up. But now, looking back on it, I do agree that I think that ending it on the high note, in season 9 we surpassed 200 episodes, so we still reached a
Mm.
milestone. I think that was the best way that we could have done it. And I get a lot of people that will ask me, well, do you think there's going to be a middle reunion? Do you think it's going to come back? While it definitely could, I do not see it happening. And especially now, knowing that all of the other actors have kind of gone and gone their own direction, like Patty doesn't even live in California anymore, and all the other actors have their own lives, including myself. I think that it's now the end of that
Yeah.
that series, the end of
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah. I would agree with that. We were sad that it ended when it did end, but we're happy to see that you are moving on to another chapter and part of your
For
life,
sure.
and becoming someone other than that character. Because the last thing I do is hate for you to be the Gilligan of the middle.
Yeah. Everyone comes up
Right.
to you and they go, "Hey, Brick, what's up?" And you have to
Which
be like, "That's not my
that's
name."
Right.
And
that's frustrating. So, um, do you enjoy voice acting rather than physical acting?
That's it's such a unique art, and that's the thing is, as I've grown in the industry. When I first got into the industry, it was never anything where I would have described myself as an artiste, right? I would have never said, "Oh, look at me, I'm a thespian." But as I've grown in the industry, and actually, quite frankly, since getting out of the show and being able to do different projects, I've grown a lot in my own self confidence. And it's funny because you hear all of these different stories about young actors who they will grow up on a sitcom, or they'll, somehow they spend a large amount of time in the industry on one project. And like you said, you get locked into a character,
Yeah.
and people will either they will do it to you, or you end up doing it to yourself because you need to stay in the character. And in a way, I had both of those things occur to me. And since the end of the show, I've been on this journey of healing and being able to understand myself and who I am, as a young man and as an adult and as a person. And I'm very blessed because I've been able to do that. And many people do not. And this, quite frankly, this is why you see all these young actors get into drugs and alcohol and parties and all
Yeah.
that
Of
stuff,
course.
because
Identity crisis.
when you don't have that sense of self, that can be very damaging. I'm thankful that I have been able to now develop and like you guys are saying, start that new chapter where I can have a sense of self and be confident in myself. And while I love where I've been, it's this new chapter, new book that I'm able to start and go into with confidence. And so when it comes to voiceover work is a completely different art form compared to theatrical. Theatrical is very pleasurable if it's done right. If you have a great director, the story is great,
Right.
you can work with great people. And I call it my cleansing of my palate job that I did was Never Have I Ever on Netflix. That was a wonderful situation where the director was fantastic, the co-stars were fantastic, as were the crew, and they were just very warm and inviting. And the director allowed me to explore different aspects with the character that I played on that project. And that was very healing and cleansing for me, and it gave me confidence in myself as an artist, as far as an actor is concerned. And then being able to be in voiceover work, that is very freeing because you're not limited by physicality,
Right.
your appearance, height, physical capabilities, whatever. And so when you get into voiceover work, that's its own unique art form where you get to convey everything through your voice, and then an animator hears that and you work with them to then make that come to life on the screen.
I can't even imagine. The work that you did in Frankenweenie was fantastic
Yes.
as
Yeah.
well.
So I have a question that's a bit more lighthearted, a little less existential. Say you're doing voiceover work for Frank and Weenie. How many times would you say, on average, off the top of your head, doesn't have to be super accurate, you said a line before they said, "Hey, that's the one"?
Oh my goodness, tons,
Yeah.
tons. That was a very unique job too, because I had the pleasure of being able to work with Tom Kenny, and
Oh.
what we did is in order to keep me in the Peter Lorre accent, he would do an impression of Peter Lorre in the booth with me, and then I would do an impression of his impression.
That
Wow.
had to be
So
amazing.
it was because again, you have Tim Burton over here on a screen directing us both, and then I'm doing scenes opposite Tom Kenny.
Yeah.
It was
That's
stupendous,
surreal. It has
such
to be.
a
You have to sit
exciting
and think,
thing.
like, how did I get to this point? I'm sitting here with
Oh yeah,
SpongeBob and Tim Burton in a recording booth. Like,
exactly, exactly. Oh, it was
that's
awesome.
great. And I
It's
think
awesome.
you're 21 or 22?
22.
22. So I'll be 22 in November. So we were both born in what, 99?
I'm 98. I'm gonna be
98.
23
Okay.
in June.
So we grew up with
Yes,
exactly the same stuff. So you know those first
absolutely.
4 or 5 seasons of SpongeBob, that original SpongeBob movie that came out in 2004, was
Yes,
just so it shaped our whole generation was shaped honestly by SpongeBob. I don't think people talk about it very much,
absolutely,
but I mean you have
absolutely,
grown adults running around that know every reference to SpongeBob now.
Well, because I have
absolutely,
2 kids. One's 25, and I have an 18-year-old daughter. So it was a different
for
experience
sure.
for SpongeBob for me because it was on,
As an
and we
adult,
would watch it as an adult. So it's
it's
definitely
one of those shows
resonates
a lot of
different.
people say that it's interesting to watch and you can still enjoy it as an adult because it
Yeah,
has like light adult
Yeah,
humor
yeah,
layered into the jokes.
yeah. Because when
absolutely.
I hear Patrick speak, I see Dauber from
You
Coach.
see what they're pulling the
Yeah,
references
yeah,
from,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
For
So
sure.
is it safe to say that you don't speak to any of the cast members of the middle?
Yes, that is safe to say.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
So, what's that guy's name? Flynn?
Flynn. Oh, what
Neil
was
The
the
guy
Flynn.
that
Neil
played
Flynn?
Neil Flynn.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the you don't have to mince words, but you don't have to be overly explicit. What's the skinny with that whole thing? Because you kind of give me a little teaser of that when I messaged you on Instagram just to make sure that you were okay talking brick and talking the middle because we didn't want to pigeonhole
For
you.
sure.
So I'm
For
curious.
sure. The skinny is Mr. Flynn is a very sarcastic individual who it's funny. He's very stalwart in his ways, very similar to Mike.
Hmm.
But he also is a person who's very quick to like snap at somebody
Oh,
I see.
for having a differing opinion,
wow.
if that makes
It
sense.
does make sense, complete
Interesting.
sense. Yeah.
See, I obviously have no insight. My assumption would be maybe he was just all work, no play. Like when the camera shut off, boom, he was just done. He'd walk away, grab a water bottle, eat some shrimp off the table or
Right.
something. But that's not.
No,
That's
wait,
not the
that's funny
answer I
that
was
he says shrimp.
anticipating.
Is that why did you say shrimp?
Just the first finger food I thought
So
of.
what's funny is Brick's, or Atticus, his character Brick's girlfriend, she was at the house one time, and it was a Halloween episode when
Yes.
he didn't want to go trick or treating initially, but she came over, and it was the first time he had had a girl at the house. He leaves, so she asks for shrimp.
Wow.
So the
Yeah,
dad had to
accidental
go
reference.
get shrimp. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, the dad had to go get
Yes,
shrimp too.
yeah, oh
Okay,
yeah,
wow.
because the mom, yeah,
Yeah.
because of course the dad didn't want to have to sit and talk to the girl, have that
Awkward.
awkward conversation. So
That's great.
So that had connectivity in more ways than one.
it did.
But I could tell you with certainty you have a correct assertion. He did have the people that he would hang out with. It just wasn't me.
Yeah.
I see. And I'm sure that has something to do with age. Being a
Absolutely.
young man, especially in a world full of old dogs, you kind of get brushed aside until you have a chance to show that you're maybe a little more verbose or cut
Well,
from a different cloth.
Let me
Well,
shift gears on it because size makes that difference
Yeah.
as well. I'm 48. I'm 5'5", so I'm
Yeah.
relatively short amongst everybody that we speak with.
For sure.
And you get treated differently if you're under a certain height. If you're not 6 foot tall, then they're going to assume you're younger.
Absolutely. The only people that say that
Yeah,
people
that's it.
don't treat you differently for height are people who are like 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And actually, it's funny because that's such a true point. Being you guys have seen the stream. I always affectionately call myself a hobbit.
Yeah.
I'm 4'10".
Okay.
That's what I tell people. and it's one of those things where you get treated like you're stupid if you're
Exactly
short.
right.
And it's hilarious to me because there were, I mean, especially when I was on the show, 18, 19 years old,
Oh yeah.
I sound like this.
Yeah.
I
I still
feel you
get
on the
people.
voice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, little buddy, how are you?
Oh, it's
Do you want
so
a kids menu?
demeaning.
Oh
That's
yeah.
why that's why I grew the beard of
Yeah.
courage when the
Oh,
show
oh, it
ended.
looks
Because then I
fantastic.
finally had people starting to call me sir.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
then
great.
coronavirus
Yeah.
came around, and then I had to wear the mask, and it
Yeah.
covers it up. Then
Yeah.
it became, hey, little buddy, what's...
First and foremost, have you ever played Fallout New Vegas?
I have never played Fallout New Vegas.
Man, that's my favorite game ever made. But you say
Is
that.
it really?
Have you played a Fallout?
Yes.
Fallout 3?
So Fallout 3,
Fallout
Fallout
4?
4.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
if you enjoyed Fallout 3, I would say segue to New Vegas if you ever have time. The writing
Sounds good.
that's Obsidian Entertainment, not Bethesda Games. So the writing and everything's complete. It
Ah.
was distributed by Bethesda,
Yeah.
but the team who developed it's Obsidian, and they grew from Interplay Studios, who developed the original Fallout in 1997. So the theme
Really?
and the humor is a lot more consistent with the original Fallout, and I fell in love with Fallout. So I went back and played the one from 97, 99, 2000, 07, 2010. I played all. There's like 6 of them, 7 of them. I saw that you streamed BioShock not too long ago.
Yes, I did.
Have you played BioShock to completion?
I played the first BioShock to completion, yes.
So, are you a fan of it?
I am.
I think that.
So,
Go ahead. Go.
no, I was just going to say, so I was able to play it through to the quote-unquote good ending,
Mm-hmm.
okay, where you save the little girls
Yeah,
and they
You
all
know,
descend upon the...
sacrifices.
Yeah, exactly. And I could appreciate the story that was in the game. And it's funny because many years ago, I didn't play through, but I played a bit of BioShock Infinite on an Xbox 360.
Mhm.
And I was like, this game is very good. Like, this is a legitimately good game. And then I'm a PlayStation guy, so I didn't really continue with it. And even though I could have, I just didn't get the game. Oh, I saw the look. Is there a bit of
Here's
conflict
PlayStation.
here?
I'm Xbox.
Yeah,
I
I've
say Game Pass for
Really?
life. Game Pass is the best value in gaming
I
today.
don't think I've ever held an Xbox controller.
I mean,
It's
Xbox
very
just
foreign.
acquired ZeniMax, aka Bethesda, and like 20 other studios. So sucks for that Elder Scrolls 6 exclusivity coming to Xbox. Mark my words. I'm gonna rub it in your face when you can't play it on PlayStation.
I'm a PC guy though.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'll
PC
just hop
Master
on
Race these days.
Steam and nab that.
You know,
No, but it was one of those... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll just real quick. You were talking about PC, and I prefer PC from the control standpoint. Any first-person
Yes.
shooter game I play, I'm horrible when it's with a controller,
Yeah,
with a joystick.
it's tough with an analog
But
stick.
if I'm on the keyboard, like I just re-downloaded Counter-Strike Go.
Oh,
And
there you
I was
go.
a big Counter-Strike fan back when it first came out with the beta, and then all the way through, and then some Call of Duty stuff that was on the PC. But
I prefer
and I'm also
PC
a Mac.
as well.
I'm a
I just
Mac
don't have a
guy.
great PC.
Right.
I haven't had the opportunity to build a good PC. So when I have been able to
Right.
run, I can run older games. Say Fallout New Vegas runs just fine on my MacBook laptop, which I have a partition set up
Right.
to run Windows, and that game only takes like a megabyte of RAM, so it runs just
Yeah.
fine because the textures are all like 144p.
Right.
But I've been planning for 5 years to build a gaming PC, and I've yet to put $1 into my savings fund to actually build one. So
Well, because games keep coming out that you would rather be playing. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, oh, I can get
It's
it
tough.
on
And then I
Xbox.
need a
Let me just
Series
get
X
this.
now, yeah, and that whole thing where I
Right.
can't even get my hands on one, even though I really want one. Because I played Cyberpunk 2077 on an Xbox One X, so it wasn't quite the base Xbox One, but it wasn't quite the Xbox One
Sure.
Series X, and it was relatively
Right.
enjoyable. It only crashed a couple times, but man, those textures, it was looking like Play-Doh. The pop-in was horrible. There was definitely a lot of graphical
Right.
glitches that just kind of de-immerse you, so it wasn't game-breaking, but it's not immersive. So as an
Right.
RPG lover, that was
Right.
kind of hurtful for me. But I had a great time with it. Did you
Oh,
play
for sure.
Cyberpunk 2077?
I never got into Cyberpunk. Like as soon as I heard, oh, the game's trash, it's broken. I was like, well, I'll go
Yeah.
find something else to play. Hey,
It was
look,
like-
BioShock.
Yeah, BioShock is great. So, what do you think of the twist at the end of BioShock? I feel like our demographic probably doesn't care about spoilers too much.
For sure.
Spoiler.
You know,
alert,
spoiler alert, we're talking about the ending of BioShock. For me, I liked it because this is where it's an old enough game that you could tell that they were starting to develop wanting to make video games more immersive.
Yeah.
And this is what really set the path that eventually leads to modern day where you get things like, more
branching
sophisticated
storylines.
Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, those
Yeah.
types of very rich story-driven games. And for me, BioShock was a beautiful like early rendition of that. I've gotten on a kick on a few remastered games.
Mhm.
The first that I played, actually, my buddy got for me, and it was Resident Evil 2 remastered. And it's funny because as a person now who I've grown up and been spoiled by the story-driven games that are rich, the mechanics make much more sense and
Yeah.
whatever. There were several times in Resident Evil 2 where I'm like, this is stupid. Why can't I kill this boss? Blah, blah, blah. This puzzle's dumb. I would just kick open the door.
Yeah,
I
it's
fell into
definitely
that
a
mode.
mechanics-driven game as opposed to a story-driven
Yes.
game. And Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite video games ever made. I played that on the GameCube in 2005, 2006 when it first came out, and it took me years to beat it because I was a kid and horrified of it because it's scary as heck. But the ending of BioShock, one of the things I love about that twist is that there's movies like the original Friday the 13th that came out in the 80s where the twist is just, aha, you're dumb. It doesn't really make sense that it was the mom the whole time. But if you play BioShock knowing the twist, you actually see the hints. It's not just like an Ex Machina where they wrote a twist to have a twist. There's seeds of it. Because
Right.
obviously every single time it gives you an objective. The entire game, he says, would you kindly? And on a second playthrough,
Right.
your ears burn every single time he says it because he says it like 400 times
Yes.
throughout the game. If you don't know, you're a sleeper
Yes.
agent.
Okay.
Would you kindly is your activation.
Gotcha.
So it's a video game. You get an objective, you just do it. But
Right.
at the end of the game, they're like, "Wow, you're a sheep. You know that you're a
Gotcha.
sheep just doing what I say the whole time."
Right. Right.
They kind of make
Exactly.
you feel
Well,
dumb,
for
even though
me,
you're just doing what games do.
absolutely. And see, this is something that's huge when you tell a story. And I learned about this a few years back, actually from the director of photography on The Middle.
Wow.
Is he said, Atticus, one of the best things that you can do as a producer, as a writer, as a director, set up and pay off. Set up something, have it be subconscious, but then when you have that payoff, the audience just has their oh crap moment,
Mhm.
and they go, what?
Nice.
And that is definitely one of the prime things about that game. And one of my personal biggest experiences with that was the Book of Eli, when you find out he's blind
I
at the
love him.
end.
I love Denzel Washington. That's a great
He's
movie.
so solid.
I showed my
Yeah.
girlfriend that movie like probably a year in our relationship, and she grew up very heavily sheltered, so she hasn't seen,
Yes.
and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, has not seen anything except for Disney movies besides what I've showed her. Like last year, I showed her The
Wow.
Matrix, and I was like, hey, going
Okay.
into this, if I say The Matrix, what pops in your head? Nothing. Nothing. Not code,
Yeah.
leather, batteries, no Morpheus sunglasses, no Keanu, absolutely nothing.
Right.
So every single thing that happens, it's fresh eyes. Like I show her the original
Yes.
Terminator or Die Hard. She hasn't even heard of these movies. She didn't even hear the words Breaking
Right.
Bad until I showed her the show Breaking Bad.
Wow.
I was like, chemistry teacher, start selling. She was like, nope, never heard breaking and bad next to each other in a sentence ever in my life until you just said that to me.
Wow.
So as much as that sucks for her growing up, not being exposed to that, it's great now because you always want to re-experience something for the first time, and you never can, except for maybe
Yes.
a book or like a long book. And it's great being able
Yeah.
to kind of pull somebody in and say like, hey, I could show you the greatest works of human cinema, and you've never seen any of them. No Taxi Driver,
Right.
no classic horror, anything. So it's really great.
Right.
What's your favorite
That's
game of all
stupendous.
time, just off the top of your head?
Oh, favorite game of all time. I'm gonna say it. It definitely has to be The Last of Us remastered, simply because it ran smoother.
The Last of Us
But
is
the story,
phenomenal.
absolutely,
Joel
absolutely.
and Ellie, their whole dynamic and the ending. I
Yes.
mean, that whole game, it's not a feel-good game. You feel like garbage basically the whole
No.
time you're playing, and there's occasional bright spots.
Absolutely.
But to see him, spoiler alert, sacrifice basically all of humanity just to save this one girl
Yes.
because he grew close to her and she filled the void of the daughter he lost. It's just like
Yeah,
it's the irrationality of the human mind. That's the whole story basically.
absolutely.
Actually, someone
But
who
you
was
know,
blind beat that game.
really,
Yeah, because of the way they had it set up, where you could do like echolocation type stuff, and someone who was
Really?
deaf also beat it because the way the clickers and the clackers and everything works, it's a lot of audio based stuff. So I was
Right.
listening to a podcast actually a couple of days ago where they were talking about how they hope to see more accessibility in gaming for people who are deaf and blind because there are a
Right.
handful of semi-large streamers who play There's a person who plays Call of Duty blind, and he cranks his thing and he listens to boots, and he goes like 10 and 15 in an online match against people who can see.
That's better than me.
And my guy's
Wow.
yeah, and he's blind.
That's
so
insane.
yeah, that just kind of goes to show how much passion went into The Last of Us from writing, from
Yes.
crafting, the mechanics.
Yes.
Granted, the original one on the PS3 was a bit buggy, but that's kind of just industry.
That's why they came out with
standard these
remastered.
days. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which I haven't played the remastered. I'm sure it would be phenomenal compared to that.
Do
Oh,
you have a
it's
better game based
frustrating.
on the console? So do you have a better PC game versus a better PlayStation game?
What do you mean?
So do you prefer? So when you're playing PlayStation, you have game X that you always play, or that's your best PlayStation game, and then when you jump on the desktop, you have something that different.
Absolutely. It's funny because we were talking about this at the beginning before we even started recording this, that internet is such a
Yeah.
key factor in a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So for me, on PlayStation, even though it's wireless and practically next to my modem, it does not get the internet that my gaming computer here downstairs with a big old long Ethernet cable going up to the second story where the modem
Wow.
is. This gets significantly better internet. So on PlayStation, I always have to do single player games. That usually is what works better because it can function better. But even then, if I'm trying to stream it, sometimes the stream cops out and I have to go, guys, hold on, pause, stay in place, let's reset. For me personally, we're talking about favorite video games. The Last of Us is the only video game that I have ever gotten platinum,
Really?
meaning I got all trophies
Yeah.
on. And I have just started personally where I'm playing through the second one now, attempting to get platinum on that one.
How do you feel about
Um,
the second one?
so this is a good question.
That's a great question.
When I first played it and I streamed it, I was very critical of the game in my playthrough.
Which is fair.
I think it had a lot to do with influence of the chat. I really do. Because we like to joke around, we like to have fun and kind of poke fun at things. And there were many things in the second one. And again, I'm going to say spoiler alert, but for a prime example is finding out Dina's pregnant.
Yeah.
I laughed for 10 minutes straight, uncontrollably, because of that. And just that segment, because it came out so absurd at the time.
Yeah. I think
But
it got a lot of
then-
unwarranted hate, but there was a lot of valid
Yeah.
criticism underneath those levels of like meme hate.
There were, but then I've gone back in and I am replaying it, and now I'm kind of I'm in my space now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, I
There's
don't
no
need to
echo
be focused on the
chamber.
chat. Exactly, I don't need to be focused on anything else. I can just be here and focus on the game. And there actually is immense creative storytelling in it, because what you're seeing is this conflict between the older generation, more traditional generation, which is Joel,
Mm-hmm.
and then this newer generation, newer mindset, which is Ellie.
Yeah, so first of all, I think it's very creative that they force you to play in the shoe of the villain,
Yes. Yes.
and that it forces you to humanize them, because even when somebody's a terrible person, if they're the protagonist of the film you're watching, you find yourself rooting for them, even though you know maybe they're a murderer or a thief.
Right.
I think that, spoiler, killing Joel just turned a lot of people off. A lot of
Yes.
people, they love Joel and they love Ellie, and you know that when they were talking about this game, when it was probably in the early stages of development, they were like, we got to do something big. It can't just be The Last of Us again. Otherwise, people are going to say
Right.
we just made The Last of Us again. So, somewhere
Right.
along the way, someone was like, well, we capped Joel. And it was, it's brutal. It's out of nowhere. It's like Lee dying. Or have you played, oh man, I shouldn't have said, have you played The Walking Dead?
No, you're fine. Yes, it is
okay.
like Lee dying.
It's like Lee
and then
dying
you
in The
having to
Walking Dead.
choose.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
you potentially being the one to do it, where a lot of people, they get hurt because they have such personal connections. And that game came out in 2013, so a lot of people our age were teenagers or pre-teenagers when that
Right.
came out. So
Right.
they almost feel insulted at them having the gall to kill off. And then it was a very female-focused game, and there's a lot of toxic masculinity in the gaming community.
Right.
So, but I think
Well-
that
well-
it definitely got a lot of unwarranted hatred.
To answer a couple of those things, just as a player,
Mhm.
I can agree with many of those things, and having Joel die hurt my soul,
Oh yeah,
especially in the manner in which he died. I always say they Negan Joel with a golf club,
they really did. They really did.
which is really what they did. but here's the thing that bothers me, because this is a trend that has come up in movie trailers, in TV show trailers, and now in video game trailers. They literally changed gameplay cinematics for a trailer,
To like lead you off the
misdirecting
trailer.
you.
Yep.
Yes. And for me, they did it enough where for a while there, I thought that Dina was going to be the one that died, and then made Ellie all pissed, and then they go on this thing. She goes off on her own, and then Joel joins her. And that was going to be how it happened. And maybe
So you're
Joel
kind of
dies
starting to
later
feel
on.
a little more secure when you hit that
Yes,
part of the game.
exactly. So when it came to that point and they just ripped Joel away from you, it just made me get to this point that's like, but wait, every good thing that I as a gamer could identify with that drew me in, you know,
Is Joel and
it
Ellie's relationship.
yes, Joel and
It's
Ellie's
exactly what I was
relationship.
talking about, where they don't have a good return on the setup because there wasn't a proper setup in the first place. It was only an aha gotcha moment because they lied to you, not because it was
Yes,
genuinely great writing. And it's not the same thing, but when they killed Han Solo in The Force Awakens, I had seen
yes,
that. I saw the spoilers. Everyone was putting Han Solo dies in every comment section, on every piece of media, on every social media platform for like 3 months leading up to the movie. So I think everyone going in kind of had that feeling. I was in denial. I was like, nah, that's just a
right,
misdirection campaign. I should
right,
have known because Harrison Ford hates the character that he definitely wouldn't sign on for 3 sequel films. But
right,
yeah, it's that kind of similar thing where the whole time I'm just like, no way, not about to happen, definitely not. And then it just
right,
happens, and you sit there and you're kind of pissed for like the next 30 minutes, and you don't even really enjoy it,
right,
even though it's not necessarily bad. Very
right,
similar. For me personally, I watched a playthrough of The Last of Us 2. I didn't actually get to play it because I didn't have a
for
PS4
sure.
at the time, so it wasn't as invested as when you're actually hand on the controller. But it's a very cinematic and story driven game, so
Right,
you still get a lot
right.
of enjoyment. And obviously, people tune in to watch the stream, so there's plenty of people out there that get enjoyment from just watching and viewing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and then coupled with writing, this will be the last piece I say on this, and look at how this is such a controversial game that we've been spending all this time talking about this
Mm-hmm.
game, but it's one of those things where the ending for me was not satisfying.
Yeah.
That's the other hard part about this game. And actually, it's funny because even Laura Bailey, who played Abby, the villain,
Mm-hmm.
even she has said in several interviews, I do not like the character. I don't like what I did for that character. And in many ways, I can agree. And from her standpoint as an actor, I mean, that's rough. I've played in jobs and done roles, not the larger scale things that I've done, but smaller scale things where I just go, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like this is not a character I feel good playing. Like this is not how I would want to portray this character at all. But that's what the story called for. So I'm curious because I believe that they're going to do a part 3. I'm curious to see how they're going to wrap everything up. But I really hope that they've refined the mechanics and the
The
environment
mechanics are
and combat
fantastic.
and everything. Let's refine the story now. So
Yeah, it's one of those things where it had a lot of potential, and granted, they definitely had a buttload of pressure going into The Last of Us
mhm.
Part 2. The hype train behind that game was maybe only usurped by the hype train behind Cyberpunk 2077, which is another reason that game crashed so hard, is because it had 8 years of nonstop hype. People love CD Projekt Red because they made The Witcher 3, which won like 10 million Game of the Year awards. Best RPG
Yeah.
ever made, everyone said. Best game ever made. CD Projekt Red, anything they touch turns to gold. And then they release a game that's far below everyone's standards. And it's like if the
Right.
man you looked up to your whole life just walked up to you and smacked the ice cream cone out of your hand, spit on your face,
Right.
and just like ran away, stole your wallet,
Right.
and just dipped. It's a very
Absolutely.
similar feeling. So yeah, people, you got to play it. You got to look into it before you get it. You can't just say so and so made it. Bethesda had the same thing happen when they made Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. Everything, they were
Absolutely.
the company everyone hyped up, and then they released something that's mediocre, and everyone's like, "This isn't Bethesda." So I could
Right.
talk about this all day, honestly.
Same here. Oh, it's so good.
Do you have a streaming so Atticus Shaffer vlog is your
Yes, sir.
Twitch and your
Yes.
YouTube handle, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you've been YouTubing for a while.
Yes.
I mean, you've got
Yes.
some pretty funny, unique stuff that's on your channel. Do you have a gaming schedule that you try to stick to with Twitch?
I do. So, my OCD kind of kicked in, and I'm like, all right, if we make a schedule, this is better. I stream every Monday and Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, and every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific.
Perfect.
Very nice.
And now, how do you rotate your games, or what is your decision on which game to play?
It's kind of funny because I primarily do things that are interest based. However, I'm very blessed because I have a lot of diverse interest when it comes to games, and I also have a great community that will recommend things to me. So what ends up happening is when I first started, I knew, oh, I love Call of Duty. So this is something to try, and I want to get into this Escape from Tarkov game that has a lot of
I
following
want
to
to
it.
get
So
into
let me
that. I
try
don't
it
have a
out.
PC though.
And when you do, it's
I've heard it's
so good.
brutal
It
though.
like oh, it's very brutal. Like you have to be dedicated to it to get good.
That's what I was telling
But
Andy.
it's so much fun. It's so satisfying when you win. But it is. So it started off with that, and then really what ended up happening is just people started to enjoy the diversity of what we played, and I would just get recommendations and things like that, and it just kind of expanded from there. So I usually what I do is I like to have a story driven game, an open world kind of game, and then something that's more
Shooty,
uh, what's that?
like a shoot and loot kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I kind of break it up with that. Escape from Tarkov is definitely one of the more popular games that we play, and I'll get on kicks where like every Saturday is just Tarkov.
Mm.
But usually what I do is I like taking a look at really well done independent games because they generally have very loyal communities behind them.
A lot of soul.
So just recently, like we played Desolate. That's a game that had a lot of hype for a long time. Unfortunately, I don't really know what the developers are doing with it. It's kind of broken. So now we're going to shift gears and go into Valheim, and I get to try out
Been
that.
hearing
So
a lot
that's going
about
to be cool.
Valheim recently, and I just want to have a super
Yeah.
small conversation. I heard you mention Call of Duty. All right, I'm gonna say before
Yes.
I ask you this question, I think unabashedly Call of Duty Black Ops One is easily the best Call of Duty ever made. I think MW2 gets a lot of hype, and if MW2 was released now, people would be nonstop complaining about how broken it was, with one man
Right.
army noob tubing, one gun being more
Yes.
powerful than the rest. What's your favorite Call of Duty? Not objectively,
Black
your
Ops,
favorite Call. Black Ops.
Black Ops One.
Yes.
Black Ops One.
The
Black
campaign,
Ops
the
One.
multiplayer, the zombies,
Yes.
unmatched.
Unmatched.
And now that Cold
Unmatched.
War came out,
Every
everyone
you know.
pretends that they just loved Black Ops 1
Right.
the whole time. But the last
Right.
10 years, everyone's like, Black Ops 1's okay. Black Ops 2 is where it's at. Anyway,
The
what were you going to say?
problem that I find, the problem that I find, and this is such a good point, and this plays on yours. Black Ops One, admittedly, I Black Ops One to me is what Modern Warfare was to many other people
Yeah,
that would
me
have
too.
been a little bit older than us.
Hmm.
It was the first Call of Duty I played online.
Me too.
First Call of Duty I got into zombies and the multiplayer, and the campaign was super
Hmm.
on point. Everything from the guns to
The
the
feel.
mechanics, like even being able to pick your own war paint on your guy in
Yep.
multiplayer
Yep.
was so
It
dope,
was unmatched.
right?
The time period it was set in, everything
Yes,
phenomenal. There's not
yes,
very many
everything.
Vietnam War era Call of Duties at all. And
Yes,
then all the CIA aspect of it. You weren't really a Marine or anything.
absolutely,
You're kind of
absolutely,
JFK. The whole thing is just phenomenal. The tone and
absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely. For me personally, I think that's definitely the best one. For me, what ended up happening is obviously Call of Duty got weird
It did go.
with
At Advanced Warfare.
yes, that's exactly it. Advanced Warfare was super weird. Infinite
Infinite
Warfare had
Warfare.
a good story,
Mm-hmm.
but everything else about it was really weird, right?
Yep.
So when you get into these modern Call of Duties, they slayed it with Modern Warfare, the new one,
Yeah,
2019,
they did.
because
That's the
that
best
took it back
selling,
to
most
original.
money.
Yeah, absolutely. But now to me, they're ruining it by putting too much stock in Warzone. For me
Yes.
personally,
Yes.
for
Cold War
me
exists just to
personally,
drive traffic to Warzone.
yes. Look, the PUBG craze, the Fortnite craze is over. Is there popularity to it? Yes, there is. But not everything has to be battle royale. Stick
Exactly.
with what you're good at, which is Call of Duty esque
6v6
multiplayer.
multiplayer is completely
Yes.
at the wayside. There's been
Yes.
there hasn't been a balance change to the weapons in Cold War since like December, and that game released in
Yeah.
what, November. Half
Yes.
of the 90%. I mean, they just release with less and less content every year. There's less and less updates. Look at the Shamrock and
Right.
Awe St. Patrick's Day event this year. Wasn't even an event. It was just a pack that you buy. It's I hate to see it. I hate to see it because it's all Warzone. It's all microtransaction driven. And Cold
Yes.
War just seems like Modern Warfare 1.1 to me, which I was
Yeah.
extremely hyped for it because I love the original Black Ops, and this was marketed as a
Same
sequel to
here.
the original Black Ops. And then it
Same
came out,
here.
and boom, nothing. It feels nothing like Black Ops. The skill-based matchmaking is, not to toot my own horn here, but I'm definitely in the upper percentile of people in shooting games. Like
For sure.
on Apex Legends, my kill record's 19.
For sure.
Consistently get 14, 15 kills. So when I hop into Call of Duty and I'm only playing in public against other people who are exactly as good as I am, because I'm not queuing up ranked. I'm queuing up publics. I'm trying
Right.
to pub stomp a little bit here, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it kills me. It kills me. And then not to give anybody crap, but the people that mostly play like 2K and NBA, they're like, "Oh, this game's freaking awesome, bro." And I'm just like, is it though?
Right.
Is it really? I'm like, by
You're
the way,
just
are you
like
a fan
this.
of Warzone? Which personally I
Right.
thought
Exactly.
Blackout was better. I liked Blackout more than Warzone.
Well, Blackout was a unique take, and that's what made it interesting, right? It was a unique take on that kind of mode. But I mean, even for me, do you even hear anybody talking about Blackout anymore,
No. And I
or
didn't even
Blops
play it
4?
very much, to be fair. Black Ops 4 completely forgot
I didn't
about.
even get Blops 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. I played a lot of zombies, and then I stopped playing it like 2 months after it launched. I only ever played the base maps
Right.
that came out. I didn't play any of the DLC. I didn't buy the season pass or anything, so it definitely got forgotten about really
Right.
quick. I think they should have left Black Ops alone after. I wasn't a huge fan of Black Ops 3 either, because that game, the microtransactions, the loot boxes, and the DLC in that game were
Yeah.
egregious, and I can't believe that they didn't violate some type of like anti-consumer law.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I'm at a point now because I continuously think about. The way that I treat my stream is I want to treat it like a network. So everything that I learned in the industry working for a network show, I want to apply to my stream, right? And so I'm trying to stay ahead with content. And one of the things that I want to do is I actually want to get into World at War and Call of Duty Black Ops 1 specifically so I can tap into the community maps
Yeah.
for zombies and just explore that whole
Like World at War
universe.
custom zombies.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
World at War is surprisingly forgot about. Like when Black Ops 2
I
was
know.
coming out, it was really relevant in the conversation because 2008 to 2012 wasn't too much. It's only 4 years, 5 years.
Right.
But now 2008's 12, almost 13 years ago, and most of the people that you find. When I was playing Black Ops Cold War, I talked to a lot of people in public maps, and I was like, "Oh, so excited for this because Black Ops 1's my favorite Call of Duty." 9 times out of 10,
Right.
bro, my first Call of Duty was Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, Modern Warfare 2019.
Right.
So they've never even experienced what people, think is like the golden or the Renaissance era of this game. So they don't have that baseline
Absolutely.
of like what the amazing old school Call of Duty really was before it was all DLC and loot
Absolutely.
boxes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Amazing.
don't remember what was one of the first Call of Duties on desktop.
There's COD Classic 2 and 3, which are mostly single player driven. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was the first one with class creation and score streak or kill streaks. After that, the big one, MW2. That was like kind of the breakout. I would argue that COD 4 was the breakout, but MW2 is the one where everyone's talking about it nonstop. But if it was World War II themed,
I think it was World War II. It was World War II thing. Yeah, because we used to go. There was a local land place here that we would just jump on.
yeah, it was World War II for a long time. The fourth one was the first one in a modern setting. The fifth one went back to World War II, underperformed, undersold, and then it was kind of modern from that point on.
When did it come out? What year?
I believe 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. Sound about right? Something like that. I know that the fifth one came out in 08, so it would track 02 or 03. And actually, one of them came out exclusively on GameCube. Not a lot of people know Call of Duty: The Big Red Giant
Really?
was a GameCube exclusive. I never played it on
Hey,
GameCube,
that's dope.
but I could have. Yeah, it's interesting the little tidbits that people don't know.
Do you play any sport games?
For sure. I'm not huge into sport games. It was actually funny. So, talking about Xbox here, the one and only time that I ever used my notoriety to do something that I wanted to do was when the Xbox One came out. And it was so cool because I was on set one day and the head prop master, he walks in wearing an Xbox One jacket with the Microsoft logo on his arm. And I was like, Skip, man, where'd you get that jacket? He's like, oh, I know the Microsoft people because they always reach out to the prop masters in the industry for product placement. And I was like, hey, bro, joking. hey, bro, can you get me to the Xbox launch party or whatever it is that they're gonna have? If you can get me an Xbox One for free, you'd be my new best friend. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll talk to them for you. I was like, you're funny. So I drink my Mexican Coke with the real sugar, real cane sugar, and then all of a sudden, like 2 hours later, he comes back up to me. He's like, hey, do you want them to reach out to your manager or you? And I was like, wait, are you serious?
That's
So,
awesome.
long story long, I was at the Xbox One launch party in California, in Santa Monica, the night that it came out. I had Snoop Dogg blow pot in my face.
Oh my
But
gosh. So
it
when I
was
was fiending at the chops, when I was a freshman in high school, just like foaming at the mouth to get an Xbox One, you were just chilling with Microsoft, like vibing,
I was just I was
surrounded.
just there vibing. So, but the funny thing was, so they had demos of all the games. It was Dead Rising 3, Rise, Son of Rome, and Forza 4.
Well, they didn't have Sunset Overdrive?
And no, it was Sunset Overdrive. It wasn't 4. It was Sunset Overdrive. So I was sitting there playing the demos, and I go over to the Forza one, and I've never picked up a controller to play a racing game in my life. And I'm sitting there doing better than all of these other celebrities that are coming by and playing the game. So what happens? Seth Green comes by and he breaks it.
Really?
That's
Holy
crazy.
cow.
Yes,
Dude couldn't
I
handle.
know.
He raged. He full on.
Big
What,
name
threw the
drop.
controller?
He didn't. I don't think he
Two.
raged. I think what it was is he tripped, and all
Oh,
of a
yeah.
sudden the controller was in a million pieces, and I was like, oh, what happened here?
Do
I'll go
you
over here.
communicate? Do you have any celebrity friends that you just kind of hang out with, or you just kind of, Atticus from Santa Clarita just chilling on Twitch?
Now, I'm actually not from Santa Clarita. Well,
Okay.
excuse me. We
Acton?
yeah, not there either.
Oh.
I'm in a different area.
Everything I
All
read
of
is
the
so wrong.
information online,
Yeah.
all of the information online about where I am is all wrong, and it's actually hilarious to Google myself and go, "This is what they think about me." I wish. Uh, no, I'm in Southern California, completely different area, but all of those places I know about because I have to travel through those places to get down to Burbank to where I would work for 9 years. So I know all those areas, and I get a bunch of people that will be like, "I saw Atticus at Walmart today at so and so." And it's like, cool, that's okay. You spread that rumor. I'm not. I don't live there. But it's funny too because for me, there's a lot of people that I really enjoyed working with, and including great people like Scott Baio and I say great but known people like Scott Baio. And it's one of those situations where we know of each other, and this is how it really is in the industry. We know of each other, but we're not calling each other out, going, "Hey, bro, do you want to go get coffee and chill?"
Yeah.
That's just not how we are.
It's like the person you
For
pass in the
me,
hallway at school every day, and you know their face but not their name. But
that's
to a
exactly it.
greater extent.
That's exactly it. Like I could sit here and say, "Oh yeah, Greg Sipes, Kari Payton, Greg Griffin, all of these awesome voiceover people. I know of them, and they know of me. And when we see each other at jobs and stuff, we say hi and we'll chat for a bit. But that's it. That's as far as it goes. I mean, that's just how it
Your
is in this
peers.
industry.
And I guess that makes
Exactly.
sense because even in what we do, I know a lot of folks in town from both the mayors and both the municipalities to city council to town council. But at the same time, I'm not calling them up hanging out.
Yeah.
I see them, it's cordial,
Right.
it's usually
Yeah, it's a lot of
business kind
small
a deal.
talk, and it's
Yeah.
genuine, and it seems like you're
Absolutely.
interested, but you're not going home and Snapchatting them, DMing them on Instagram, and having a conversation.
And that's the other thing too, is like when it comes to this industry, acquaintances and friendships really is based on working with each other. So if, like, for example, I know Greg Sipes better than I know Kari Payton, for example, because Greg was on the middle several times. And when we would work with each other, we talk and hang out in between scenes and whatever. But that's the extent of it. However, that doesn't change the fact that if we had a choice, yeah, we probably would. If there was like, let's say I was a showrunner and there was a role that was perfect for Greg, he'd probably be at the top of my list to work with because I know him. I know of him. I know him more. So that's just kind of how the industry works. Is right. Exactly.
So
So
let's talk favorites. Favorite soda.
favorite soda, Dr. Pepper.
Okay. Favorite fast food establishment.
Ooh, recently Chick-fil-A.
Nice. Chick-fil-A makes a good chicken sandwich.
Oh yeah.
So favorite burger spot. Let's twist it up with that.
Ooh, okay. Well, what do you define as a burger spot?
Primarily burgers, I would say. So I would consider Wendy's a burger spot. In and Out,
Okay.
something like Shake
Okay.
Shack, Five Guys. I wouldn't say, somewhere that just has burgers on the
Chili's.
menu. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't say
Right.
Chili's. I wouldn't say Applebee's. Yeah.
There's a place called Hook Burger that makes a very solid burger and it's practically gourmet, but it's for cheap and it's quick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When I was on your stream the other night, you had just said you and your mom had spaghetti the night before. You love spaghetti?
Dude, I love anything that my mom makes.
Mm.
My mom is learned from multi-generation of Polish background. She could take anything and make it good.
So she make
So
like
I mean,
Hunter stew.
whether oh yeah, the stew,
Mm.
spaghetti, ribs, chicken, pot roast, chili, everything. If it's cookable and mom has her mama magic into it, man,
Isn't it crazy
it's
how that
dope.
That
works?
love.
I mean, your
Yeah,
mom just knows
exactly.
everything.
I cook every single day. I cook all 3 of my meals every single day. I've been cooking since I was 4 years old. So even other people, they
Nice.
kind of, not to say that I'm some like big goal. I'm amazing at cooking, but like say my girlfriend makes a meal, she's really scared that I'm gonna like critique it or not like it. But when you only eat your own
For sure.
food, anybody else's food that they made for you, it's just phenomenal. Not having to cook it yourself, it's not your food. I
Absolutely.
eat my food every day. I want to go over, like we hang out a lot, and
Absolutely.
his wife, my aunt, will cook dinner, and I don't know, she's always like, oh, you go check the seasoning and this and that. And I'm like, hey, I'm getting served. I don't get served very often. I'm normally doing the serving, so it's
Right.
phenomenal. Which is,
Exactly.
what about favorite movie? We didn't talk movies very much.
Favorite movie is a little bit more complex. It's a three-way tie between Hell and High Water, The Book of Eli, and Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut.
So I've seen Hell or High Water. Is that what it is? Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water,
Book
yeah.
of Eli. Haven't seen the third one. My personal favorite's a tie between Primal Fear and The Thing from 1982.
Ooh,
And for me, I'm a big '80s guy. I mean,
80s
just
comedy.
'80s comedy. So I just bought. What you
nice.
can't find on a downloading stream is Better Off Dead with John Cusack. So I bought the DVD.
Really?
Yeah, it's not streamable anywhere, so I finally bought the
Wow.
DVD. But Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick Dempsey and 16
All the
Candles, all
classic,
those classic
yeah.
'80s. I'm a fan of those.
I love
That's
thrillers,
awesome.
dramas,
Well, you
and
guys see the
classic horror.
stream. And you guys see the stream too, as I do a lot of quotes from '80s
Yes.
movies.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for
I'd
sure.
buy that for $1,
Yes.
or
Yeah, yeah,
it's the horse sense of it all.
yeah.
What about Bob?
So are you a
Solid
fan of To
stuff.
Kill a Mockingbird?
I am. So I'm a fan of both the book and the movie, and it was such an awesome experience. My mom showed me the movie when I was 9, and it was so foreign to me to hear my own name being said in a movie just because it's such a unique name. But I really love that my mom named me after Atticus Finch because she named me after a man, especially portrayed in To Kill a Mockingbird, who he values being a father and doing what's right. And those are two attributes that I have taken on in my own life, especially with everything that I have been through in my own life with my own biological father. Um, that I want to take on as my own, meaning those attributes of good that Atticus Finch portrayed.
There's nothing more satisfying or gratifying than knowing that you're living a life that is as straight as best as you can be as a person.
Despite what you went.
Yes,
And yeah, despite what you went through, because I think we've all
absolutely.
got stories that we could sit here and cry over and tell. Uh, but just knowing that you've overcome those and you're a better person because of that, and you know how that is, and you're never going to treat anybody the same way you've been treated.
So you don't have a great relationship with your dad. It's a touchy subject, obviously, but I haven't seen my biological dad since I was 8 years old. We've
No kidding.
yeah
Okay, so
we've
see, you get it though,
yes.
right?
So I completely understand, and he also has an aspect of understanding, and his wife has an aspect of understanding, and my girlfriend. It's crazy how common something like that is. It's really not regular to
Yeah,
just have those nuclear families these days, and I
Yeah,
don't think
no,
it's
not
really
at
ever
all.
been.
right,
My dad was an alcoholic, beat my mom, did drugs, and
right.
then passed away in
Yeah.
'07.
So just you hate to see stuff like that, but everybody. I mean, so many people go through so many things. It's crazy.
It is.
Absolutely.
You and your mom are
And
doing
it
okay?
teaches you.
It does teach
What?
you. I said you and your mom are doing okay?
Yeah, me and my mom were doing good. My mom, God bless her, I always call her a tough little bantam hen, which is exactly what she is. She just went through a big surgery on her foot to correct an issue that's been there for like a year that she's been in misery over. We finally got in to see the doctor because COVID things are kind of getting lifted. And so she was able to get that done and safe. And God, she's recovering and she's doing so much better. That's why we're doing things like having the baby chicks
That's great.
and like she's planting her garden and all that stuff. She's able to live again,
Quality of
which is
life
so beautiful.
skyrocketed.
And it
Oh,
makes you feel
absolutely.
better knowing that she's happy or she's on the mend. Makes you
Yeah.
feel emotionally you're okay. You're like, okay, things are kind of getting back a little bit to normal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was funny too. The doctor said I practically threatened him in the parking lot, and I told him, no, 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 no. It was because I was pre-coffee, but I always give the speech. I always give the speech though because it's pre-coffee. I was like, hey doc, this is my
My
mama
mom,
bear.
yeah.
Take care of my mama bear.
Yeah,
He's like, I
exactly.
will. I got you. Don't worry. He was cool about it though. Her doctor's
Yeah,
awesome. So.
you're a little 410 Atticus.
I'm look. Did you notice I'm looking up and being all
Yeah,
tough? I'm not
yeah,
looking down.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah, story of my life anyway. So favorite
Absolutely.
music. What do you like?
Ooh, favorite music. I'm very much into music. This is also something that comes from my mom because she exposed me to music practically when I was in the womb. And I love everything from like 80s music to country music, bluegrass music, rock music, Christian music, Christian hard rock. I have a very diverse enjoyment of music because what it is I primarily it's not that I'll be a fan of a particular band. I am like certain bands, certain artists. It's mostly that I'll find a song that I like, and then I kind of have this
Yep.
hodgepodge of playlists of different music.
I'll do that as well. So if I'm watching the show, we're watching Apple TV, The Servant, and I've
Okay,
found two bands on there. One is called the Teskey Brothers, and it's an Australian blues band. Fantastic.
nice.
And
Nice.
one on the latest episode, and I can't remember her name, but it was they were playing her on an old phonograph, so it had that record sound, and then it kicked into the regular sound during one of the scenes. And she's only got three
Yeah,
singles, but very bluesy and very for me, I get the goosebumps when I know the artist is
yes,
fantastic, and I get that, and I resonate to that. For me, it's not I'm not more of a lyricist, but it's about the rhythm and the way that music makes me feel is how I
absolutely.
kind of guide myself.
That's exactly how I am too. It's funny that you mentioned that. I love good lyrics. I love songs that'll tell a story, but I also love simply just instrumentals, following a
Yep.
beat, following a path of whatever emotion the song is wanting to evoke. And how I view music, viewing it is if it evokes a story in my mind, it's an excellent song.
Mm.
So like you, those are those moments where I get the goosebumps and I'm able to like get inspired or be energized or kind of be lulled, whatever it might evoke from that story that a song conveys. That's what to me describes a good song.
That's great. Yeah, I like all music. I'm not super big on modern country. I love Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, the Highwaymen.
Nice.
Um, big fan of Marty Robbins. So I kind of get grouped in because primarily I listen to hip hop and rap. So people like to have
For
this
sure.
assumption that I'm just automatically going to be a country hater. A casual fan of rock music like AC/DC. Um,
For sure.
I like the Eagles. I like everything. Everything. I like what I like. If I listen to something and I like it, it doesn't matter if it's not my primary genre I listen to. That's going on the
Exactly.
playlist. That's getting saved to the phone or the iPod Nano,
Exactly.
depending on what year we're talking.
Exactly.
What so favorite book, and then we'll kind of start wrapping this up.
Favorite book. Okay, so I am a Christian. I do read from the Bible every day, and that's just because I enjoy it. It brings me peace. It's not anything that's like
Absolutely.
a lot of people. A lot of people have this misconception that, like with many religions, when I say I read from the Bible, it's because I'm like forcing myself to read it, and it's this thing where I'm sticking it
Yeah.
over my head and just chilling with it. No, there's days where I don't read from the Bible. There's days where I read a lot more from the Bible, and it brings me peace, and it's one of those things where every time I open it, it ends up being something that I need to read or a lesson I need to learn or whatever it might be that helps me to grow. But I definitely love To Kill a Mockingbird. Absolutely adore that as a book. And then another book that I really enjoyed, and it kind of follows along with the vein of why I enjoy The Last of Us, would be Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
Interesting. I've never read it. I've never heard of it. I'll have to look into that.
It's very intense. It's actually the book that they based The Last of Us on, if you really
Oh.
look at it. But because it's about a man taking care of his son going through this apocalypse.
Oh.
And there's parts of it that are very disturbing, parts of it that I really could have done without.
Mhm.
But watching this man holding true to himself and wanting to care for his kid above all else. To me, that's one of the aspects that make a good man is that care, that patience, that love, despite the circumstances, and what are your priorities. And that's what I really could identify with. And actually, the funny thing is they, kind of typical Hollywood, they changed it when they made the movie. They made a movie of The Road starring Viggo Mortensen, who I love.
Great
Viggo
actor.
Mortensen. He's a solid actor.
He's
Yeah,
amazing in Lord of the Rings, actually.
absolutely.
And the Green Book.
And in the Green Book and
Mhm.
several other
The
things. I
Green
mean,
Book
he's
was
awesome.
phenomenal.
Oh yeah. But in The Road, they actually changed it where in the book, the man, as the character's called, he's actually a Christian. And he's trying to help his son through allegory understand about the Lord and the difference between right and wrong. And in the movie, they changed that. He's very much a sciencey atheist kind of guy, and other characters are Christian that come into the fray and
It's like a
exit again.
complete
So
180.
yeah,
Yes, that's
it
probably why the
changes
Book of
the
Eli
story.
resonates with you. I didn't even think about that.
It does. It does because we live in a time where morality and the difference between right and wrong is very blurred. And when you take a story that is placing you in extreme circumstances, like a post-nuclear war
yeah,
apocalypse,
yeah.
for example, how do you hold fast to what is right and what is wrong? How do you hold fast to truth that ends up helping people, setting them free, even from their own misgivings or doubts or whatever, versus succumbing to madness around them or lunacy that is going
Yeah,
on,
which is a
like you
huge
see
theme in the
in the
Book of
Book of
Eli.
Eli.
Yeah, when he gets to that
Absolutely.
house and they kind of seem normal, and then they slowly start to figure out that they're like cannibalizing people and stuff like
Right.
that. And, yeah,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
I love that movie too because it's very Fallout-esque, obviously
Oh
post-nuclear
yes.
apocalypse.
Especially Fallout New Vegas
Yeah,
with
yep,
all the desert.
exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
do you want to plug your everything you have? Twitch, Instagram. Is it all the same
Sure.
at?
That'd be Yes, it's a so it's all the same. My YouTube, my Twitch channel, my Instagram are all at Atticus Shaffer Vlog with a V. Like I said earlier, we stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Come hang out, have fun with us. We have great fellowship. We have a lot of laughs. We do cry with each other sometimes, but that's just part of the having the best community ever. So yeah, guys, if you're watching this interview, please come by and hang out. We'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we second that. Atticus could be more of a excuse me a nicer gentleman.
Very well spoken, very intelligent, clearly.
Thank you, guys.
Eloquent. Yeah, great talking to you.
Yeah, so I
Great talking to
100%
you guys.
appreciate this, and it's
Absolutely.
probably made my year.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm not even, and I'm a casual fan of the show, so I could only imagine this guy over here.
My wife's probably chomping at the bitch right now. We've been every night. What am I gonna ask?
Oh yeah, would you give a shout out to Kelly
Absolutely.
and Alexis?
Kelly, thank you. Kelly and who?
And Alexis.
And Alexis. Kelly, Alexis, thank you guys so much for being such awesome fans of the show. You guys are the best. Thank you.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, that's brownie points for
Absolutely.
him and both of us. You know how that.
Nice.
So okay,
Nice.
so thanks to everybody for watching, and definitely go follow Atticus on any of the channels that he just mentioned: Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks.